number 1 of the day coming right up. It is going to be a Warrior Mirror between BloodTrail and Tyler. And just going overall, as we can check out the deck list straight away and get straight into it, I think Tyler's going to have a slight advantage in the primary deck mirror for game number 1. Mainly because BloodTrail has a few more weapon creations and removals with Weapons Project and Harrison, but Tyler has double Omega Devastator versus 1 from BloodTrail, and then just the Acolyte of Pain instead of the Weapons Project. So do you think the extra slight card draw with the Acolyte of Pain and the extra Omega Devastator are going to make a big enough impact?
I think it's very close. Actually, I also want to note the addition of Geppetto Joybuzz in the primary, which is not present for BloodTrail, and I think that maybe helps Tyler have a more solid curve, if you can call past turn 8 a curve, but just things to do and threats to put down every turn. And since we have determined, and as many players have decided more recently, that the matchup is more about tempo than fatigue, I think that could definitely help Tyler.
Right. Let's take a look at BloodTrail's list. I do agree. I think it's definitely going to be a close one anyway and going to come down to a lot of small decisions. There is Snip Snap as well in BloodTrail's list, which is not in Tyler's unless I'm blind. No, it's not. So there are positives and negatives to both these lists, and I think it shows how kind of fun Bomb Warrior is as a deck, because there is spaces within the deck to play your own put your own style into it and still be good. It's not like when you take certain decks, like, oh, I want to play these cool cards because I like them, and then the deck just doesn't work anymore. There's definitely space in this deck to have a few additions in
For
there.
sure, and I can't quite tell if the battle between Snip Snap and Geppetto as the kind of flashy legendaries as additions to Bomb Warrior, I can't tell which one is favored exactly, but perhaps the second Devastator from Tyler lines up against Snip Snap pretty well in case it magnetizes onto something. Tyler has that one extra answer to deal with a tall minion, and I could definitely just see this coming down to, of course, the micro decisions from each player and how high up the Dr. Booms are, perhaps.
Yeah, that is always a big deal, as it is in any mirror match. If there are high power spike cards and one is drawn for one player and not quick enough for the other, well, that's just how the game goes. And we see Tyler there. That hair color is fresh. I think he may have had to run back from the hairdressers to get, because it was only a couple of hours ago he tweeted that, oh, getting my hair all dyed. I hope I'm in time for my match, which means he was literally there just a mere hours ago, so I'm glad he did get back in time. And he's gone for the gray / bleach sort of color.
Yeah, I think Rosen was asking what color, and he said gray, but to me, I'm going to describe this as Daenerys blonde.
Okay. Yeah, that just looks like blonde to me, I don't know.
But maybe the lighting's a little bit off.
That's true.
Hair dye jobs, they kind of change over the first couple of days as well as the initial wave of color gets washed off of it.
Okay.
But anyway,
let's
onto the
just
matter at
cast
hand.
Tyler's hair for a while. Anyway, though, let's go into it. As you said, the double Clockwork Goblin Clockwork Goblin for each player, I mean, does mean they have at least an early attempt at seizing that board control. And Tyler, already decisions are going to have to be made. He could go quite aggressive with like Coin Goblin into Goblin with 2 3/3s that BloodTrail can't really do much about.
Yeah, I don't hate it. And he's got a 4-drop as well.
Yeah.
And this is a matchup where people already argue about whether it's good to play Devastator on 4, just on curve. And it does not line up very well against Militia Commander. But with this kind of hand from Tyler, I'd be tempted just to go. I mean, if any one of those mech sticks, then he has a solid turn 5 as well of magnetizing the Ziliax on top of it.
For me, it's the Ziliax and the shield block that really sell it, because like you said, Ziliax, if there's a mech on board, sweet. Or to answer something as well if BloodTrail gets something down. But also, if you're in trouble, just shield block and continue to cycle through your deck. It really isn't the end of the world.
All right, Raven. I've got my notes ready.
Okay.
I've pre-written or pre-scribbled these doodles of bombs to help me take track.
I'm gonna try and I'm gonna do this as well, and I'm gonna beat you.
All right.
I'm gonna keep better track than you.
We are also playing our own little competition here, which is who takes track of bombs better. But anyway, BloodTrail for now has seized control of the board. Militia Commander is just such a nuts card for being able to value trade something almost all the time. And yeah, Tyler, no hesitation, just gonna go for the Devastator on curve because it lines up well against this.
Yeah, the fact that you've just seen one Militia Commander means that you are pretty confident there isn't a second one. There's been no Town Crier either, which means BloodTrail hasn't guaranteed an additional draw of a Rush Minion, which means Tyler's going to feel pretty good about this, and it's unlikely this dies without a lot of effort from BloodTrail. And the problem with BloodTrail's hand right now is none of it does anything.
I know, it's all reactive.
It's like
If he wanted
apart
to
from-
clear this, he'd have to Warpath and Shield Slam, and that
Yeah.
seems
Or just
awful.
double shield slam. I don't know. It's bad. And I
Yeah.
wonder if Tyler actually doesn't magnetize and just uses the 3 attack to trade and then push 4 to face.
I wonder if you magnetize and push it all to face.
Yeah, it's tough.
The fact that the Militia Commander is not a mech, I think, would push me to do that. It's a little bit of caster vision, but I'm pretty sure if BloodTrail had something like Shield Block, Shield Slam there, he would have gone for it, or second Militia Commander, so Tyler should have, I think, a read that those combinations of cards are not available.
Yeah. It's just, as you can tell by all my hms, I'm really pushed. I don't know. I think it's obviously nice pushing more damage, but maybe just removing the minion, having an empty board just ends up being a little bit better.
There's also the consideration of whether he wants to use Ziliax just like this, as it can be a very valuable resource for healing later on in the game if he falls too far behind. But he is
magnetize.
I like this.
He's gonna slap BloodTrail in the face for 7 damage. And already, you know, we talk about, oh, Bomb Warrior Mirrors, they just take forever, they they go on really late game. Well, decisions right now impact the game heavily. Impact the game's speed. Already, players have had to make decisions as to whether Tyler, say, wanted to go aggressive, and now he's actually going very, very aggressive. So this doesn't even look like it's going to be a slow game at all, unless BloodTrail, like, nullifies this push, and then they both kind of whiff for a couple of turns.
Yeah, and BloodTrail there, if he wanted to remove the Devastator, it would have to involve taking a 50-50 with the Brawl, which is pretty awful. And Tyler with the Dynomatic Draw allows him to clear off the Militia Commander and take another 7, and he gets heavily rewarded. Sorry, push another 7, gets heavily rewarded for going with the aggressive push. I mean, that's just 14 damage in the early game. So what are the arguments for trading here? Probably Brawl.
Either Brawl or if BloodTrail has his Ziliax, maybe. But Ziliax would still, it would need too much, yeah. Even if you Warpathed into Ziliax, well, you still don't do 7, so I think going face ends up being correct way, way, way more often than not.
I agree. And on BloodTrail, he can go for the 4 Boombots if he wants to, but it seems a little bit slow, leaving 10 damage on the board, and okay, he takes the middling result. I don't think you're too sad to see that if you're BloodTrail.
No, it does mean Tyler's pushing a minimum of 3 more next turn. Which is looking pretty good. Didn't even see, oh!
Wow,
okay,
Wrench Caliber off the top makes this pretty effortless choice from Tyler, I would say.
Yeah.
4 bombs now in the deck for BloodTrail. He could
lethal.
just die.
He just has to ask Frosty for that, that power. So Tyler's currently on 2 bombs in the deck, which means Boom would just put 4 bombs down. But that's probably just too risky.
I like taking the guaranteed clear here from BloodTrail. What he really doesn't want to see is either of the booms on curve right now, but in most instances, since Tyler has had such a strong minion curve, he probably has a hand that's more towards removal. And that is the case.
Just basing it off odds, right? So Warpath, pretty mediocre hand now from Tyler. He might... I was wondering whether he goes for a Mega Assembly. Just use the mana now and have it ready for next turn.
He had the mana on a different turn and decided to hold it, I think, because he knows the hand is so light on threats, and I don't fault him for it. And Genius off the top. BloodTrail loves to see that. This could be a way. Wow, Blast Shield as well helps him stabilize. And Tyler, he swung with the Wrench Caliber there for the 5th bomb, I think mainly to respect the Harrison from BloodTrail's deck.
Right.
And Weapons Project
and
as well.
also just pile the pressure on, right? The more bombs in, the more likely it is to go off.
Right.
I'm not teaching anyone rocket science here, of course, but I think it's just like, just push as much damage as humanly possible. Tyler had such a slow turn last turn.
These are incredible mechs. Nullifier and Bulldozer are just tall things that are difficult to deal with in the mirror. And another Ziliax. Well, the first one for BloodTrail, but he's got another one in deck.
Is this as good a time as ever to just get the Bulldozer down? You kill the 1/3 without giving any armor, and then you ask Tyler for a response?
What about using the Nullifier then? Because you would preserve a Divine Shield on the Bulldozer in the future, and I don't think the Nullifier is getting removed because it can't be targeted, and then you could Ziliax on top of it in the following turn.
Yeah, I guess
Oh, he's gonna go
my issue with Bulldozer a lot of the time is that it's very hard to just use pretty much a whole turn to play one minion, and it can feel low impact sometimes.
I'm not a huge fan of just having a weapon here. I feel like a minion with so many heavy minions in hand would fill two purposes of presenting a larger threat for Tyler to deal with, and also just making better use of his mana. Double assembly. Tyler seeing what's in the box. Another Clockwork Goblin.
And the Spark Drill isn't bad just for a lot of damage from hand to be able to trade off into a threatening minion at some point.
So he decides to hold off on the Goblin. So you can snip snap each one of these. How cool is that?
Okay, that's actually really cool.
And if he's doing this, I wouldn't mind even just shield slamming the Pinata. But perhaps
just swing into it as well.
Yeah, sure. I guess it has arrived to the point in the mirror where BloodTrail has now kind of stabilized his health total, so now it's going to be a bit more about squeezing out the value from your cards.
The trade into doing the exact same thing again. Oh, he's making the bigger one, okay.
And gonna swing into this instead, I suppose? Or... Wow.
Is it? Okay. It's a little bit. He could have just made two regular sized ones and still played it off. And pushed a little bit more damage to face.
It's a bit interesting. Not sure what the reasoning is for having one bigger one instead of two middle-sized ones if you're gonna trade anyway, right?
Right, it was just -2 damage there, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is all I saw at least.
Maybe there's some argument for Warpath. 5 Warpaths would have cleared everything, so
That's true.
that's probably what BloodTrail was thinking about. The Undertaker off of the Pinata is very interesting.
Because it gains the death rattle from the Pinata.
I'm now thinking of some weird Mechathune outs, but Tyler's used double Omega Assembly, so if you were to get Mechathune, it would have to come off of Delivery Drone in the future. And then the Mechathune can die
and also,
naturally.
unless you can one-turn Mechathune with the help of Galvanizer, it also, like, never goes off, right?
No, I mean, the Undertaker gets the Mechathune. Death
Yeah,
rattle,
you
just like what Frozen did, right?
You're just dead, though, right?
Oh, who knows? You can hold a Shield Slam in hand, and I don't think BloodTrail will ever be accounting for it, but that is definitely something for far off in the future. Tyler's got to worry about the board state right now. And he decides to just clean it up. And I think it's not great that he hasn't developed anything, but I think he's now also just going to take the slow value plan, knowing that BloodTrail has gotten his Dr. Boom Man Genius first.
There's Blastmaster Boom coming down for the full
Full
ball.
value, yeah.
And there's an answer.
Brawl into the Devastator always clears everything. Alternatively, just Warpath and Devastator.
I guess Warpath Devastator actually is better. Because the problem now is if he devastates... Well, oh no, you can use the Spark. Never mind. Because if you Devastate into a bomb, then the bomb might hit the Devastator and then the Devastator's weak. Whereas if you just Warpath into Devastator, the Devastator's always full health. Oh, there goes Tyler's armor.
16 damage from 5 bombs is way above average. But at least now he's gotten that big worry of the huge damage push out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm curious as to why he went for Commander over the Spark. But maybe he wanted to develop a bigger board presence, and it's only 50-50 of whether it hits.
But he could have just sparked and then played the Commander out anyway, so there'd be a 2-5 instead of a 2-1.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how valuable the Spark is as a card on its own.
I agree, whereas the Militia Commander has a much larger chance of being able to clear something. And Tyler, I think, will be happy he held on to Devastator because Beryllium Nullifier is definitely a nightmare card. And now it's even been buffed in the mirror. Tyler's chosen to hold on to his Acolyte, I think, which is a tough decision to make because he wants to get closer to his boom as soon as possible, but he also knows that he's deeper in fatigue.
Yeah, and also didn't want to play the Clockwork Goblin out because I think because the game sort of hit that point where it's going to go a little bit longer, then Tyler will want to try and use an Elic to try and push more damage and stack some bombs together.
BloodTrail with the natural Ziliax used, always good. Wow, you can get a third one! But another Nullifier also looks very tempting. But I respect the choice of Ziliax because he knows that he's both ahead in fatigue, he's got the boom earlier, and now all Tyler needs to do is, or what Tyler's game plan would be in theory, is to try and leverage the bombs. And so BloodTrail just needs to make sure he has enough health to survive that push. Boom off the top, quite good for Tyler.
The difference between having Dr. Boom Hero Power, Hero Live, and not really shows when Dr. Boom's played with against a minion board. It's so rough.
BloodTrail with this face attack signaling Brawl, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Most scenarios a bomb survives and he can even fit in the blast shield. Tyler, I think, is falling pretty far behind here.
Can make up a lot of damage here though. Only 7, 8. Ooh. Was that half of the damage that BloodTrails did?
I think
Obviously
so.
he has one more bomb left, of course, but still, like 8 versus what was it, 16? Gee.
Yeah, it's not pretty.
I was hoping for just as much damage as possible to face right now.
Another 2 bombs into Tyler's deck brings the total to 5, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, BloodTrail, even though he still got 4 bombs in deck, he's sitting on double Ziliax. He rolled the blast shield. He has shield block as well. So I think the fact that Tyler's hero boom is so far down means that he either needs to play aggressive or try to get this Mechathune out.
I think he's probably as good a turn. I was looking at either Geppetto to accelerate your deck or this.
Yeah.
Just play Boom Reaver. Yes, the Boom Reaver doesn't have Rush. That sucks as an outcome. You wanted something to at least kill the Elic.
Yeah.
So that's a little bit frustrating for Tyler. But it's just get something big on the board while you don't have much else to do.
I agree. I think he might have been hoping for an Elic of his own. But yeah, BloodTrail just gonna take the opportunity to heal nearly all the way back up. Put a huge threat on board and remove Tyler's huge threat. Just warrior things, Raven.
Yeah. I think now Tyler has to go for Geppetto.
So what are the good outcomes from Geppetto even? Just second Devastator?
Okay, maybe not now because of that draw.
Oh, okay.
Because I think for me, Geppetto was more about getting to Boom quicker than anything else. But with drawing Boom, well, these things change, and he's going to clear off this board now, and Tyler has a plan once again. And the deck sizes are actually extremely similar right now. Just because of the amount of bombs in there, I think there's like one different. Or one true card different. Yeah, there's 3 bombs in each, so 9 and 10 cards at the moment.
It's true. But when you start factoring in the fact that the deck sizes are even, that means Tyler would just lose in fatigue unless BloodTrail starts drawing unnecessarily.
With the same amount of bombs in the decks, yeah.
Or unless Tyler keeps rolling blast shields, but I don't think it's likely that his blast shields would be more like frequent than BloodTrail's blast shields.
Yeah, and I think for me, this normally gets flipped around when the lower health player actually gets something to stick on the board and catches up with minion aggression and not being more defensive. Because honestly, although you can play it in that style, Bomb Warrior is just not a control deck at all. You do have cards that help, you do run some removal, but so does Midrange Hunter, and that's not a control deck either. So I think you do have to just, Tyler needs to get rid of this, Bulldozer somehow, and then really start to try and accelerate. He does have Clockwork Goblin and a Wrench Caliber now, so if he draws his Elic soon, he can start pumping a lot of bombs into BloodTrail very quickly.
Yeah. There's one more Elic remaining,
I think there's one Elic, yeah.
So BloodTrail starts with the Bulldozer attack because I think he wants to hold on to Ziliax in the case of all the bomb generation kind of blindsiding him, and I like that. The rest of the turn is hard to say. I would be tempted to throw down the Harrison because it seems like he doesn't want to draw too many cards from this spot. But he's instead just going to take it slow, and I think this is totally fine as well. At 9-7.
Yeah, it's scary, isn't it? BloodTrail found the turn to actually get it down and it not just be too slow. Because with how powerful Bomb Warrior is on any given turn, especially late game turns, I think it's so difficult to go 9 mana one thing pass. Because even Boom Reaver is 10 mana, but it does 2 things.
I honestly think Tyler's only clean answer to this left is the second Brawl, and I think he's shield blocking to get exactly that second Brawl. Instead, gets a bomb. That's unlucky. What is coming up next? Another bomb! 1 left in the deck by my count.
He got the Helic. Okay.
Cool.
So
what
there
now?
are 3 bombs in BloodTrail's deck, and Tyler cannot do the Helic weapon.
It's not even going to matter, because how does he remove the 9-7 now? Not that he had an option before.
I was meaning to shuffle, like he can't shuffle 4 more bombs, which would be 7, which would technically could be lethal next turn. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like when you're at this point in the game, if Tyler had drawn the Helic first before the draw he had on this turn, I think it wouldn't be completely unreasonable to just shuffle the bombs in and be like, well, let's go.
Tyler's just dead.
Yep, he knows it.
With the hero power showing from BloodTrail. Bulldozer. That's the sideboard for the Mirror Raven.
I think the sideboard for this mirror was really drawing Dr. Boom quite early compared to your opponent. That seems like the best sideboard I can think of. But BloodTrail gets the job done. Tyler was looking good at that early game, getting a lot of aggression down. But the second, that's what's so difficult about this matchup. If you decide to be the aggressor, or your hand sort of decides for you sometimes, then the second that gets just removed and your opponent can stabilize, you're just behind because they've not done all these aggressive things, so they still have them, and they've maybe expended a brawl and a shield slam sometimes to actually even it up, because although Warrior can play tempo on the board, it's not like they have minion after minion after minion to just keep playing to fill the board. They do it once or twice, and then outside of Dr. Boom and maybe Omega Assembly, they're actually just kind of out of reasonable threats outside bombs.
I'm just upset we didn't get to see the Mechathunin to undertake a shield slam it. But maybe another time.
Yeah, that would be pretty far-fetched and a big deal there. If it did happen just due to a pinata, which was discovered, creating an Undertaker and creating that scenario would be nuts. But let's take a look at these sideboards as well, because it looks like both players have a very similar secondary deck, which they're probably both going to move to as well, unless things go a little bit crazy. It's just more bombs.
Yep.
Barista for the bounce to create more bombs most of the time, or removal. And then the Archivist Elysiana, which honestly right now I feel is less about fatigue and cards in the late game and more about diffusing bombs that are in the deck. I feel like that's the true power in this matchup.
I completely agree. A lot of the times the players will start jamming down the Elysiana before their deck is completely empty. I don't know what the threshold is. If your deck is 20% bombs, are you going to diffuse it? If it's 40%, does that incentivize you a whole lot more? And it's tough to find that exact timing, and I think that's really the mark of a player who is seasoned in the Bomb Warrior mirror.
Yeah, it's tough making the call as well, because not only is it how many bombs are in the deck versus how many cards are in the deck, but also, can you even reasonably just play a 9-drop this turn and pass? Because that's effectively what you do. You play 9-drop, the bombs go away, yes, but that's it, and then you let your opponent effectively just take a whole extra turn while you've just done something very slow. So I think trying to work out the exact timing is very difficult, but I do love some of the other cards in this deck. Barista is just, I've talked about this card for a long time, and I've said you should play it in most decks. I was throwing it in Murloc Shaman at one point, because Murlocs do a lot of battle cries, okay? You end up getting more cards in your hand, but yeah, I think Barista's a great addition, and then just the additional bombs. And also, they have moved to secondary, we just found out there, so we can take a look at the decks in just a second. But also as well, this is Tyler's. Okay, we'll cover Tyler's first. But the secondary list, they both kind of nodded to each other in their cards, because now Tyler gains a Harrison. He only puts 1 C4 Bomber in versus the 2 that BloodTrail does, but he has the Archivist Elysiana, but then the Cairn and Grom that we've seen Tyler play kind of week in, week out now. I think every time he's brought Bomb Warrior to Grandmasters, he's had this package locked in.
Yeah, and I do like the Grom inclusion because of, as we mentioned, it doesn't always go to fatigue, and sometimes that additional 10 burst out of nowhere can suddenly put your opponent in the range of bombs or deal that last bit of damage necessary to either make sure that they cannot play Elysiana safely or just deal the lethal.
Yeah, exactly. You are, because of the reliance on the bombs just happening to be drawn at certain times until the deck runs out, you do need some level of extra just damage threat. Tyler's gone for that. Let's take a look at BloodTrail's list though. See what he has gone for, because as I said, they're kind of making up for each other here, because Tyler doesn't have the Barista Lynching, which I really do like that BloodTrail has. BloodTrail has the 2C Foreign Bomber, but he's added in a Geppetto, so he does have that additional card draw, and then when you combine the additional card draw with more minions that battle cries are powerful, Geppetto then starts to really snowball into even more value or damage depending on what it draws.
Not to mention the synergy with Barista itself. Like,
right,
if Geppetto draws Barista, suddenly you can do a turn like Alec, Clockwork, Barista, and put all that stuff back in your hand. And it's crazy.
It snowballs so hard, and it's actually just absurd. And it's not even unlikely, because I mentioned at the start of this series, oh, Bomb Warriors don't always go to, you know, late game fatigue, etc. But they do go late game, so it's reasonably likely you draw most of the cards in your deck on the average game, which means the second you draw Barista, we saw that he was saying, oh, you know, Tyler's run out of these threats or these answers, same for BloodTrail, and then Barista just shows up a lot of that, because if you think as well, all the bomb generators are battle cries, the Omega Devastator are battle cries, less so in this matchup, but the Dynamatics are battle cries, so it just shuffles, well, gives you so much copies of minions at high value. It's absolutely absurd.
And I would say it seems like the way this secondary decks line up, it's going to be a question of whether it's better to side in minion-based threats and predetermined amounts of damage, like with Grommash Hellscreen.
Right. And
then Karen as another on-curve minion, which is Tyler's style, or with BloodTrail having the Barista for potential for explosive, no pun intended, combinations to get more bombs into the deck. And I think because that BloodTrail has this kind of secondary wave of bombs from Barista, I think Tyler has to be even more careful about how he times his Elysiana. Speaking of curve, though, it's funny that BloodTrail has the better, so to speak, curve. Wow.
Oh.
Yes, yes, he
definitely does now.
Yeah. Despite Tyler having the more minion-based sideboard.
I do feel like this matchup, once you get to a certain point, changes completely. Because right now, if you asked most people, you'd be like, wow, BloodTrail's going to crush this game. He's off to a fantastic start. He's got decent middle game as well, with the shield blockers along with Snip Snap. And then there's Blastmaster Boo, locked and loaded, ready to go. But as we saw in the last game, things can change very, very quickly. And as soon as the aggressor runs out of juice, just for a couple of turns, then their opponent can actually just get a stranglehold on the matchup. So even though Tyler's looking like in a rough spot from quite early on here, it doesn't mean it's over by any means.
I was going to say, I think he's in a good spot if he just shield slams this Alec, which of course, it's not a snap thing to do, because Tyler last game was really wishing he had another shield slam or a Mega Devastator to deal with the Bulldozer. But I like that he is respecting the here and now, dealing with this and recognizing that when the next 3-Jot comes down, suddenly he has a cleaner way to answer it with either Wrench Caliber or Militia Commander.
Defend the gates!
So gates defended, BloodTrail not with an ideal turn 4, but honestly, Snip Snap,
this is just fine.
It's not bad on 4 mana either.
And this is one of the benefits and powers of Snip Snap specifically, is that it's so flexible. You can go tall with it, you can go wide with it. It's just another minion that helps you curve sometimes, as we can see right now. And yeah, it's already dead, and there's a bomb shuffled into BloodTrail's deck, but these two 1/1s kill the Militia Commander, which means it soaked a hit and killed the rest of the minion. So sweet, like that's just a completely solid
Harrison off the top is insane here. I was gonna say, if he didn't get that, he might have gone for Sephorium Bomber on 5, which is, it doesn't feel bad as a curve play, but it walks right into Dynomatic.
I mean, so does this.
But you got the added benefit of
there is
removing
benefit,
the
Light the fuses!
fully expect Tyler to hold on to the Mega Assembly here.
Ooh, that's a good draw.
Yes, Militia Commander deals with this. Safarian Bomber also is just like more mana efficient, and he has just seen a Dynamatic, so I like the timing of that as well. 2 bombs in Tyler's deck.
And also as well, if a Ziliax comes down now, well, okay. Yeah, yes, it dies, but then you can work towards removing it because you have Militia Commander yourself.
I like to see the karma in the mirror of this time Tyler gets his Boom Mad Genius way earlier. I don't see a reason not to trade.
I'm going to go for the value trade there.
But it's funny though, because some players, their default thinking is there a reason to trade? If not, the default is go face. For me though, I have this other mindset of, is there a reason to go face?
Oh, so you're an AVT player.
Not always. I mean, I think about the reasoning. But yeah,
and then you trade, which is an AVT player. I think about going face, but I don't.
All right, so BloodTrail took the boom on curve, even though it's not for full value, because this board is just so tough for Tyler to deal with. It demands exactly Brawl, one of which was removed for the secondary deck.
Scurry Rover's not bad, especially because he gets rushed because he has Boom live. But I do wonder if...
I'm thinking the turn will be something like Devastator and Town Crier, and then maybe the Rover can help clean up next turn.
Okay then.
Do you not think it's more likely to Town Crier into the Rush minion and trade into the Dr. Boom? Whether it's Militia Commander or Ziliax?
Yeah, sorry. Oh my god, sorry. I thought the
You know
Devastator was active for some reason.
Oh,
yeah,
right.
definitely.
Oh,
yeah.
Devastator's gonna really suck this turn
Yes,
if you just play
yeah.
it.
I mean, you're totally right.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough, right? Because this Security Rover, especially with its buffed health going up to a 2/6, means that the second a bomb hits it for 1 especially.
That's amazing for Tyler. And good. Oh, wow. That is really unlucky for BloodTrail, but the order from Tyler was perfect there to play it down and then attack with the other minion first. And now for BloodTrail. I mean, I'm looking at the 4 and the 4 here. He's hovering over a shield block.
He could just play Barista and get another Boom.
And another support.
Yeah, that's, I'm being serious. It's so insane.
All right. That
And
makes sense.
The biggest part about Barista here, as you will very quickly see if you're not familiar with this card, is it does not bounce them.
Yeah, it's a cop.
So you generate copies, and your minions are still on the board. They're still going to do stuff, and it's so nuts.
You're absolutely right. And Tyler has not drawn any bombs, so the next boom will also still spawn 4 boom bots. That's crazy.
And honestly, you're playing a 5-mana 5/5 in your deck. A 5-mana 4/5 isn't so bad. It could be a lot worse stat-wise.
Town Crier most likely going to pull Militia Commander, or it was 50-50. Yeah,
right?
at that point.
Yep.
So Ziliax is also good here because he can tag it onto Security Rover and take a trade into Boom. Then the 3/2 can go into the Safarian Bomber. He can also fit in a Hero Power, not too shabby. Is the Barista a must-clear minion? I think once it's down, it's done its duty, right?
Yes, because there aren't any bounce effects in the deck, so it's not like BloodTrail can bounce Barista for even more value. Against Pogo Rogue, that's a different question. But in Warrior, I don't think it's any more valuable than killing the bigger threats on the board. Threats in terms of just damage output rather than effects.
So Tyler here is actually going to hold on to the Ziliax, I think, trying to make sure that when it comes down, it actually heals him, because it would not have done so in that situation.
Yeah. And with Omega Devastator in hand as well, I think that plus Ziliax is such a powerful turn that it's very, very difficult to want to pass up.
Yep.
BloodTrail down to 0 bombs, if I'm...
Yeah, that's what my notes say too.
Okay.
But I don't see a reason why he doesn't just go for Boom again if he did it last time.
It's so sick. Like, one of the few points of relief you have in this mirror is you've survived your opponent's Boom.
Now we
just do
Devastator.
it again.
Yes. So Devastator, I mean, he probably starts the turn with Assembly.
But also, it gets a little bit difficult as casting, at least for now, judging when to Japel Joybuzz, because the players will have full knowledge of exactly which cards are left and we aren't good at mentally keeping track of every single card that's been played in both decks. So depending on what's left in the deck, you could just go Geppetto if you want like a 1-mana Devastator for whatever reason. Not necessarily this turn, but going forward, Tyler will have more and more of an idea as to how consistent this Geppetto draw is going to be.
Right. So the Dynomatic off the Assembly, not too relevant in the matchup, but Scrap Hound with Ziliax in hand represents quite a lot of healing later on.
And this is it. It's so crazy, isn't it? BloodTrail, I feel overall has had the initiative in this game. He even got Barista down on 2 very high-value Barista targets.
Yep.
But Tyler had Boom, and the game's still just, at least for now, or especially with that bomb, reasonably even. So it's just, it's so nuts to me. Tyler currently sitting on 2 bombs in deck, BloodTrail on 0.
And I think that puts BloodTrail still at a huge disadvantage, even though he's not got any bombs in the deck, just because the Boom was so early, as you mentioned. And BloodTrail's forced into the position of aggressor and trying to leverage, I guess, the bombs already in deck from...
Yeah, it's definitely nutty, though, because Tyler's already got 2 bombs in deck. There's already, call it, 4 bombs in hand, and that's not even everything that BloodTrail can shuffle in for the rest of the game. So he does get +1, so now it's going to go up to 3.
And
4, sorry.
Yes, 4
yep,
now.
There we go.
I was looking at double Seaphorium Bomber that turn, but I guess the Scrap Hound is pretty scary to leave up when you've not seen Ziliax. But this does give Tyler a very clean target for Dynomatic.
Hearthstone.
Hearthstone. That's insane. Triple Clockwork Goblin. Imagine if Tyler had Barista and then he Geppetto'd into it and then you do the thing.
But that's what I mean, like Barista's just insane. I'm surprised it's not becoming more of just a just common inclusion in decks that have any form of ability to go mid to late game.
You could be seeing that soon. It's definitely being rocked in these Pogo rogue lists recently. BloodTrail, he could take the value trade on the Dynomatic and go for Shield Block Shield Snap, but I do just like being more aggressive here. So that's the 5th bomb in deck for Tyler. He's very healthy though, and he's still got Ziliax, so I think Tyler's in a great spot. He could just shuffle 4 bombs into BloodTrail's deck if he wants.
He can almost catch up to all the bombs BloodTrail's done all game in 1 turn.
There's also the possibility of just going Geppetto and Hero Power, do the thing next turn.
Or I wonder if you go halfway and go Alec, Goblin, and then Hero Power trade. Feels maybe a little bit too weak.
It does, right? Because I think he wants to get full Alec value, or at least 2 bomb generations on the same turn as Alec, and maybe use the mana a bit better. I can see a world where he goes Ziliax, Clockwork, and Hero Power, but I do think that the Ziliax in hand is a lot of great value.
Yeah, she's going to go for it this way. And what this does is, he doesn't get Hero Power, but his mechs have Rush, which one of these goblins is effectively the Hero Power anyway.
Yep.
So it's not really a massive loss, and even trading both goblins means that Tyler gets to push an additional 3. So not valuing trying to do anything funky keeping all the goblins when he can just keep a 3/4 instead.
Yep.
Looks
While
good to
it
me.
seems like a low value thing for Tyler to do, he is on Boom and his opponent isn't, so I think he's fine to give up a little bit of value. BloodTrail giving up his Ziliax. Now Tyler knows that the healing is limited, barring the Omega Assembly discoveries. Tyler down to 4 bombs?
3.
3? Okay.
2? No, okay. 3.
That is the highest pitch I've ever heard your voice go, Raven. Grom
We have
enters
not
the
talked
hand.
that much. Or cast together that much, I guess. That's Sol, he'll give you a more in-depth answer.
Do I even want to know? Safeguard seems like the highest value pick here. These are not great, honestly. There's a reason the double Eterniums are cut from the secondary list. Tyler could just go Clockwork Ziliax to clear this, but again, Ziliax, super valuable resource.
Yeah, I guess Safeguard just can just be played as a thing that sometimes does damage. It sounds like a really terrible description. What Mana Elysiana
Wow.
definitely alleviates the problem I was talking about earlier, is can you afford to play a 9-drop and pass? And no, so you play a 1-drop and pass instead, or 1-drop and do other things, most importantly.
3 bombs left in deck for BloodTrail.
and for Tyler.
Yeah.
3 bombs each.
So they are rather even, again, in deck size. And because BloodTrail is able to stick this 6/6 lifesteal, potentially even Beryllium Nullifier it, so that it's basically immortal. He's not dying anytime soon, I think. What's the punish for going Nullifier? I suppose
the punish is that Geppetto does the damage to
Right.
make the Devastator do the job anyway.
Exactly.
Because I think as BloodTrail, you want to Beryllium something that's out of range of an Omega Devastator, or at least is high enough health that it doesn't cause it to be much of a problem.
But on the flip side, are you that sad if he trades in his 6/6 and uses the Nullifier Battle Cry just to deal with this? In the meantime, you've gone to full health.
Yeah, well, for now, though, he can Omega Devastator and trade, right, with the Devastator?
Ah,
Which is the point with the 14 health. It was like, if it was any higher, it would be great.
Right.
Because you asked the Geppetto to trade into, but it's a little bit frustrating. But he did push 10 damage, which I've heard is pretty good in a lot of games. If you can just swing a 10 attack minion to face, that's
I've
pretty
heard
sweet.
that too. Tyler's going to cash in on the Ziliax now that he can heal up from it. Hero Power will also shore up the difference.
And he doesn't care about having to trade in little dudes because BloodTrail is on full effective health, which means that this is healing for nothing.
BloodTrail's hand got quite a lot of stuff to do, I think, still.
Ooh.
Wow, his own Geppetto. I guess he's going to Shield Slam the 6/5. I was looking at if you would rather use the Devastator on it, but it seems like too low health of a target when you know that Tyler's running Braum.
Well, when you've just seen what BloodTrail just built, well, Tyler can do that too. So.
Right.
But also, again, it's the thing with Geppetto where it always depends what's left in the deck, doesn't it? Because if they have like a guaranteed pull on something that kills, it seems like a much better play overall. Yeah, 1 mana 1/1 plus 3 attack rush.
And you can tag
a really good card.
onto the end of the turn. That's just like a Soulfire without discarding something.
Yeah. And sometimes, well, I guess it rarely lives, but sometimes it lives.
So Dynomatic can deal with the front half of Cairn. And then Militia Commander plus Spring Rocket, is that what it's called?
Yep. I wonder if he goes for that, because one of the issues with not playing the Devastator is you're not really putting any reasonable threats on the board,
True.
which means Tyler can continue to just benefit more off having Dr. Boom. Because one thing, when your opponent plays Boom and you don't have it, one thing you do have to consider is, okay, what are the benefits for me of him being Boom? Well, less guaranteed armor generation is one. So if you can play more aggressively and just mess around with the fact that Tyler does not have a consistent hero power that you can rely on, it means that there are windows to just kill them sometimes. And I don't know if just playing the Omega Devastator now is just worth it. You can even play the Goblin and trade it into the 1/1 to be clean. He's going to take the more value approach.
You make a strong argument, but I think what pushes BloodTrail over the line to take this decision instead is the fact that he didn't use Devastator on a bigger target last turn, which it would have been a bigger swing there. So I think he's in the mindset where he wants to save this for the potential Grom or Elysiana. From his perspective, could still be a full health minion.
It's a worry though, because I definitely understand the mindset overall of, well, this can kill a big thing, so I'm saving it to kill a big thing. Well, what if the turn you could use it is too late because you're dead? Is one of the problems, and I think being flexible in these decisions is pretty important. That's BloodTrail going down to 2 bombs, I think, in deck now.
Yeah, and he's gonna shuffle 4 into Tyler's here. So that would put Tyler on 5 bombs.
Wait, I've completely miscounted then. I would have had him on 7. So I probably
I'm not sure.
Oh no, it all falls apart very quickly. I had him on 3, but I could easily have missed 1. We'll find out. Both just scribbling different numbers now.
What the heck?
Tyler's just gonna die.
What? Okay.
It's
By my
Tyler.
count, this one is.
He
Oh,
can't be
okay.
dead because his cards are green.
Yeah. Yeah, wow. I was really scared because by my count, there was exactly 1 left out of these 7 cards. By
So
your count,
Banners
there's
is
3, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but that was unlucky no matter which way you look at it. And Tyler's face is like, did that really just happen? And I think he was looking at playing Elysiana that turn, but now it's not really diffusing much at all. Scrap Hound is great
that's
though.
a good one.
Yeah.
No. Wait. Oh, there is. He can missile launcher.
Yeah, that's the thing, right?
That's actually very good because the usual combo with Scrap Hound is Ziliax because you gain effectively 10 health for that initial swing. You gain 5 armor and 5 health. But if you can magnetize anything, it's important. And Missile Launcher would do it because it also gains the armor off the damage you do, right? With the missiles. It's like lifesteal, I think.
I'm pretty sure that's how it works. And I'm not sure if Tyler knows the interaction because it seemed like a really good turn to go for that. And then he could trade off the Elec with the magnetized Scrap Hound, right?
I mean, I'm sure someone will instantly already be telling us on Twitter or something if it does or not does work like that. But I thought it worked. Like, if he missile launched it, he would gain all of the armor from dealing, what, an additional 4 damage?
Yeah. At the very least, even if you don't get the missile armor, you get
gain 4 armor from this swing.
The 6, right? Because the Scrap Hound is...
Yeah, sorry, I mean a 4 additional by magnetizing a 4/4 onto a 2 attack.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's correct. And
Well,
now, 2 bombs, I think,
I
in
think
Tyler's set.
4. What this weird side game we're playing here of just who can count bombs better? Because it is really hard when you're trying to cast the game and keep an eye on every single bomb that gets shuffled in, especially in the mirror.
Yeah. I hate making excuses, but it is genuinely hard, so we apologize, guys. And that is not a bomb, though. We can argue about how lucky or unlucky that is later, but now Tyler needs to think about what he does.
I honestly think he missed that magnetize on the Scrap Hound. I think that's a very big deal.
I agree.
1, he wouldn't have been 1 bomb away from death. He can defuse him now with Elysiana, but he would be on 7 now. Mind-blowing.
The boon is always cool if you get Dragon's Roar. I wonder if he took...
the most consistent there though, right?
But boon that comes again.
Whiz bang, just play it. It's a Yeti.
Yeah, we've been playing a lot of Yetis in Warrior Mirrors lately.
Scrap Hound, Snap Pick. Yeah.
Yes, that is insane.
Oh. 1, 2,
the spell start is probably not awful. It's like a 4/6 if he doesn't play spells. Sea Giant doesn't look like it's getting very cheap in this game. Another
Hound that is scrappy. He's gonna go Beryllium though. But this is the weird part. Tyler's still just dead to an additional bomb shovel.
Yeah.
And I think BloodTrail either has 1 or 2, maybe 1 left, but also he can just discover them. And Tyler's hands go to his head as that's a card that really doesn't help with getting additional bombs.
Was there a reason for BloodTrail not to start with the assembly? Because what if he had gotten a bomb shuffler? Wouldn't you play that instantly?
Wait, what if he'd gone Spring Rocket and he just wins Hero Power Spring Rocket?
Yeah, I mean, I think...
That was a little bit weird,
yeah,
wasn't it?
He'll always have the mana to still boom and Hero Power after the assembly.
I guess he wouldn't have had the damage to do Spring Rocket that turn anyway, but...
Yeah, but... bit iffy, I have to say. Anyway, Tyler is in the clear for now.
I guess we're going to make up numbers now, but I think that's 3.
Yes, I also have BloodTrail on 3 right now.
That's still 3 out of 5. It's a bit of a problem here. It is reasonably likely BloodTrail's in trouble next turn. Oh, okay. And there's the diffusal. Tyler really wanted some of those bombs to go off that turn.
Shield block. It's funny, right? Because it cycles you, but it also gains you armor.
I think Black Knight might be better. Because there aren't that many bomb shuffles left. Shield block does cycle, but you might not want to cycle when, if it's a sort of fair game, then fatigue's a problem. And maybe Tyler generates taunts.
I think in that case, you'd rather just take a 4-mana 4/4 because it's better on average. And the rest of these just flashed by. My goodness, but... Saboteur.
I've seen Saboteur is pretty good.
Actually,
but then again,
Arcanite Reaper, that's just a bomb.
A little bit beefy, yeah.
It's 2 bombs.
It's the original bomb generation.
Exactly. The problem, though, is that BloodTrail cannot immediately deal with this Euphorium Bomber. He's presented the option again. I wonder if he'll see it. I'm pretty sure that's how the interaction works. If Wild Pyro and Light Forged gives you lifesteal on the Pyro
Right.
activation.
It's also just minimum 6 armor. Maximum more than 6.
Is it maximum more than 6? Because if he
Well-
trades it into Lysiana, it dies, so...
Oh, true.
yeah.
Yeah, true.
But,
Well, you could.
Yeah.
There are some worlds where he doesn't have to trade it in.
and yeah,
guess.
the Sea Giants are just insane now that BloodTrail most likely hasn't discovered a brawl off Elysiana or any type of AoE.
Well, that seems a little bit worse than Sea Giants.
So, what can he get off the delivery drone now? I don't see a way out for BloodTrail. If he gets Zilliax off of this,
Still not good.
This would be a good time.
I was gonna
for
say
a
he gets
master
his own
plan.
Scrap Hound, puts it on his own missile launcher, but he wouldn't have the mana to Shield Slam after that, unfortunately. So he's instead gonna go for Boom Reaver. He had an option to take Malagos at one point, but no mana to use Malagos Shield Slam. I don't know what the biggest minion he took was, but I don't think there's anything in there that can one-shot it. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Liar.
My mistake, Onyxia. But Tyler is just showing
Another
11
round
on
of
board,
scraps.
got another 3 in the hero
Okay.
power, and Missile Launcher is lethal.
Yeah.
Oh, so is Grom, sure. Yeah.
Also, yep.
Yeah.
Tyler is going to even up
Yeah.
the series 1-1 off the back of Elysiana, just doing a little bit more than BloodTrails did. And again, though, I'll wind it back to you, and people might not want to hear this, but both games now, both players separately have drawn Boom a lot earlier than their opponent, and it has made enough of an impact. And I think even less because of hero powers, but the most powerful thing about Boom is just Rush on Max. It doesn't give them charge, of course, but Rush is so close to charge, especially when you are battling for board control every turn and just to stay ahead. It's similar to the issue I used to always bring up about Howmaster Short. Howmaster Short ends up causing more face damage because minions from hand can remove the minions on board, and the minions you stick to board can go face, which is what we saw Tyler do in that game when he traded and then just pushed the Dynamatic to face, even for 3, but it's 3 extra damage that having those rush capabilities opened up. So super, super important, and now it's coming down to game number 3. And we're going to see maybe if it's going to come down to who's going to draw that Boom first.
I hate oversimplifying it like that, but honestly, it does happen a lot. So I would like to see both of them getting their booms at relatively similar periods of time, and just see.
I want to see both players full mulligan anything that is not Boom, just to see what happens.
Sure.
And see if it works. Because it's a tough one, right? I'm definitely not saying there is nothing to the game apart from drawing Boom, but Boom helps so much in securing a game or coming back into a game. We've seen players that Tyler looked ahead for most of it in game 1, but then BloodTrail drew Boom and Tyler didn't for a while. And BloodTrail just caught up because of the combination of Rush and the additional hero power at that level is insane. And I believe both players are going to stick onto the secondary. I don't see a massive reason to switch off either back to primary or definitely not tertiary. So it looks like it's just going to be a rerun there, and we're going to see who's going to come out on top.
I'm really excited as well because I think the Warrior Mirror is growing on me as well, Raven. I never thought I'd say that, but now that I've got to cast it a couple
It's
times.
because it's not a control warrior mirror.
Yeah.
Those are very different things.
It's all about your mindset, right? Because back when I was watching Americas a few weeks ago, and maybe people were playing a bit more value-oriented, or they hadn't really fleshed out what the best secondary
Right.
deck for the sideboard was yet, it tended to go on for much longer. But
Yeah.
nowadays, people's it's been a paradigm shift, I think, as to how people actually play the mirror.
Yeah, and I think as well, criticism of certain nerfs or not, i.e. Elysiana to 9 mana and say not 10 or whatever, well, no one plays Banker anymore, right? No one tries to do anything weird with Elysiana. It happens once, and then it's shovels 10 cards in, there you 10 cards for the game. And honestly, because of how swingy and strange the Discover a card is in terms of its vagueness and how varied it can be, it means that after Elysiana, the games end very quickly because even if both players do it at the same time, one player probably has overall a better Elysiana than the other, and it just means it just becomes very swingy. It's like, okay, 10-card decks, let's go. So both players are sticking on secondary, and just an update here in terms of overall Grandmaster scores. Tyler is on 5-2 at the moment, and BloodTrail is on 2-5, so big wins as all the wins are for both these players and all the players in Grandmasters, but Tyler would go up to 6-2, which would really start to secure or at least continue the battle for the top 3 playoff spot.
Yeah, it could potentially secure him a top 3 spot should Glory fall later on today. He is actually in the next match, but currently Glory is in 3rd place.
Now let's go.
Okay, BloodTrail has Boom in the opening. Tyler had the other Boom. And wow, okay, so BloodTrail's got both of the power cards on turn 7, but Tyler's got an insane curve and he's on coin as well. So next turn, things could get out of control for BloodTrail.
look at Tyler. Tyler's smiling, rubbing his hands because
Yeah.
Tyler can not only play tempo and curve, but you can play tempo and curve, and unless all the bombs get drawn early, actually just progress into straight into a tempo dart to Boom, which does not happen that often.
This is just the god hand from Tyler, I must say.
It is, but Tyler had a similar-ish
Oh,
hand
Shield Slam
in
off
game
the
1.
top is huge here for BloodTrail. Yeah. It was very similar actually.
Yeah,
It was the
Tyler
other way
playing
around.
tempo
Yeah.
and BloodTrail had the Boom.
And Tyler also shield slammed an Elec at some point, I think.
Yeah, that was game 2, yeah.
But yeah, with that answer off the top, BloodTrail's suddenly in a much better position. I was getting carried away.
And how quickly the tables can turn in Hearthstone.
Right, and even if Tyler were to go, I guess it's Omega Devastator now. I guess it's scary against Militia Commander, but in many worlds he can get the full Boom on 7 with the 6 Boom bots, and BloodTrail has the Brawl for that. So the question is, can BloodTrail have enough time to play his Boom hero card and stabilize with the health total, I think. It's already a big question. I think I'd be inclined to go, 4-5 here because of the Harrison punish, which seems like a bigger punish than Militia Commander.
I was just listening to the music in that quiet moment, and someone's going crazy on, I'm going to say a saxophone and most certainly be wrong. People with much more music knowledge than me will be able to tell me what that instrument is. But whoever was doing that was going nuts. It's cool. That's another bomb into Tyler's deck, though, and another bomb into BloodTrail, so I believe that's 2-2.
Yep. Barista not so great here. Man, does BloodTrail have to take a triple Warpath turn to deal with this? It seems awful, but...
It gets you to Boom, though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think it's unfun. You would much rather do other things, like, say, a Dynomatic.
Yeah.
But it gets you to Boom relatively safely without taking tons of damage. So sign me up for that one.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to use Assembly for not full value in the mirror. When they're both on secondary, I don't think Barista as a 4-5 is quite good enough here. He's hovering over the BloodTrail, the Warpath, sorry.
Which will leave a trail
Of blood, exactly. You knew what was going on in my head there, Raven.
But yeah, I like this from BloodTrail. It's just, you know what? It kind of sucks to make that turn. But what doesn't suck is playing Boom, potentially into Barista, and so on, so on, so on.
Right. Third bomb into BloodTrail's deck. So in most worlds, Tyler's Boom on 7 will be fully active. But does BloodTrail play his Boom first? And I mean the minion one. It's still got 4 Boom bots in there. That's just good, right?
I think you do because you don't gain anything from the rush. Or should I say the lack of rush. Like, there's no minions on the board, so who cares? Just play it as tempo and make Tyler have to answer it. And also what this does, most of the time, is mean that Tyler can't play his own Boom, or he takes a ton of damage.
And in that window, he can play his Boom hero card.
There you go, yeah.
And try and stem the bleeding from the opposite Boom.
Oh,
Or maybe he can just play
it's
his
the Boom off. Okay,
Wow.
please, BloodTrail, please, just go face once with the Boom and press Brawl, and I just want to see these bombs fly, because it'll
Well,
be really
it's
fun.
got to go face with the bombs too then.
Yeah, whatever. I don't care. Just go face and then hit Brawl. I just want to see loads of bombs flying everywhere. Just
Well,
tickle
that
me
could be
more.
happening right now. Well, never mind. I wanted to see the domino effect as well. And that's one explosion, so 3 bombs left for BloodTrail, I think.
I wonder if it goes...
Oh, they're flying. That one killed
chain
that one,
reaction.
and that one killed that one, and that one stopped.
Okay.
That's
I
my
think-
play-by-play casting, Raymond.
Yeah, yeah, really good. I can see why you've chose Hearthstone as a game to cast and not any other game where play-by-play casting is required. This is a sick turn, though. I was gonna say the Goblin fits so nicely with the Barista, and then just like last time, BloodTrail can go, okay, you know, boom v boom. But what about boom again afterwards?
And he has to respect the boom with 7-7 into 7-3 because he's only on 19. But I think BloodTrail has to just bite the bullet there, and that was correct because he just has the refill and the stabilization in his boom Mad Genius. So he just needs to make sure that he lives
Whoa.
to the next day. Wow.
What a Grom.
But how can you damage it? No!
You don't. 1 mana, 1/1.
Charge. It's the Stone Tusk Grom.
Yeah. Unless he Elysianas into something that can buff its health.
That would be real fun.
And this is the thing, again, we're on 20 cards apiece. Yes, both players have curved out, you know, fairly well, but there's 20 cards left in deck for each player, more or less, and the game's so highly aggressive.
Yeah.
Like, I like it. Admirable keeps telling me he likes Bomb Warrior Mirrors. If they're played like this,
Sign me
me
up.
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
me too.
What? The bombs never kill each other.
They're friendly. They're not cannibal bombs.
So 7 showing for Tyler. 8 with Grom. Still not quite there, but BloodTrail still has 2 bombs left in
That's
deck.
actually pretty scary.
Yeah.
That if Tyler had a normal Grom,
Yeah.
he would just be very close to lethal right now. And next turn he could just lethal him.
The problem is, if Tyler doesn't remove the boom from BloodTrail, it gets pretty scary for him as well. So with this Geppetto attack phase, I'm thinking a Warpath is in the future somehow. Yeah, and he's gonna guaranteed put the boom to 4, so the Warpath will clear everything. Geppetto does a decent job of soaking up.
So I believe
Damage.
there's 2 bombs in BloodTrail's deck. Can we get a
Yeah,
bomb
I think
check?
so.
Yeah, okay. So BloodTrail needs to be aware that although Tyler's had a relatively slow turn, BloodTrail could just die.
Yeah.
Which is a little bit scary, which means that he could probably is just going to go for Dr. Boom in general here, just for safety.
I like the Grom for dominance here from Tyler. And realistically,
There's no good way for it to die.
well, rushing a minion, but... on
But
top
that's
of-
what I mean,
yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
not efficient, is it? Oh, okay. All right, BloodTrail, there's an efficient way to kill it.
Yeah.
Show me up and make me look bad as always.
Okay, now I think it was fine for BloodTrail to start with Boom, because had he not gotten the Kaboom hero power, I think he would have used a mech to get rid of it by rushing, but this is the best outcome for him for sure.
Kyle's going to answer back with his own Omega Assembly and get a pretty reasonable one, actually.
Another missile launcher. But the security rover is looking pretty solid here. Then again, it can't rush, so maybe just drop the nullifier?
What now?
Then again, BloodTrail's threatening a Ziliax, so the 1-2 looks a little scary, but any mech could rush now, so...
Okay, so that could be, what, 4 more bombs
Yes.
in the deck?
I would just go for that.
BloodTrail's just working out how to use this Snip Snap and if he even wants to use it right now. Because he could buff this to an extent with 2 Snip Snaps that it just one-shots the... sorry, 3 Snip Snaps.
Yeah.
That it just one-shots the Sentry. Or just pushes a lot of damage, either way.
That is very tempting, but he has to respect Ziliax, I'm pretty sure. Especially knowing that Tyler's not on Boom, so it is a privilege if any mech sticks on board for him to
He won't
magnetize.
stick mechs though, because of the 2-3.
Oh yeah, right.
And the 2 attack is the same as the 2 attack from the Sentry anyway.
Good point.
But what this does is just make it less messy overall.
Sure. Second assembly. So Tyler can go Ziliax and use the Militia Commander to get rid of this. It's kind of expensive, but I think priority number 1 needs to be removing the 7-9.
Well, what if he just magnetizes and goes face?
With the nullifier?
Yeah. Because he out-damages the 2 armor from the Eternium, right?
Sure.
Like, the Eternium's not going to get more armor than 2.
But if BloodTrail has a Devastator...
I mean,
Oh,
if
then
BloodTrail
the
has a
7
Devastator
knight
anyway, who
sticks.
cares? He still has to trade in the 7-9.
Well, he could trade in the Devastator.
I guess.
And then push Mace with the 7 knight. I don't know. I feel like that was really scary, but Tyler might be in a position where he's thinking he's so far behind on drawing Boom that he needs to rely on this damage. And luckily for him, there was no Devastator. So 5 bombs in Tyler's deck by my count.
Wait, were you double counting then?
Oh, I wasn't. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So it's 7, and then
Yeah,
1
okay.
got overdrawn, so it's 6. You win this time,
Wait.
Raven.
Oh my god, we've done it again. I had Tyler on 4, which would have put him to 8, which would have put him to 7 now.
Okay,
I
now,
have 7, you have 6.
now you're just spouting numbers. So I think the turn starts with delivery drone, or Town Crier can get either Ziliax or Militia Commander. These are not great.
They are not.
I think Harvest Golem just
Yeah, it's just the best overall. A little bit of insurance versus brawl at most, require an extra push of the warpath to fully clear it off. But yeah, none of this is fantastic. That's a little bit better though, the draw into the Militia Commander to evenly kill off this Dynamatic. And now we might see things start to slip away from Tyler. Does have the missile launcher?
yeah, pretty good.
Which
with
helps, but you know, it clears the board, but it's not like BloodTrail's game plan is to kill Tyler with a load of 1/1s.
I mean, what is BloodTrail's game plan?
I think
And
probably to just
super light. He needs
out-
his own assembly, I think.
Yeah.
Despite him being on Boom so much earlier, Tyler's got way more value and the life lead. Although there are way more bombs in Tyler's deck.
Okay, not too bad. We can clear this board.
What's the scariest thing off deck? Like, Karen is pretty bad for him. Grom is scary.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh wait, sorry, we've seen Grom already.
Yep.
But that is definitely a good outcome. And I suppose he just drops the Steambot this turn as well. But yeah, I think BloodTrail really needs to hit an Omega Assembly. Because if not, he's just going to be relying on hero power for the next couple turns.
He is, but Tyler's got a ton more bombs in the deck. Okay, I thought that was one. And also, BloodTrail can, as long as he keeps control of this board, which might be a lot more difficult now that Ken's been drawn, he can probably get away with playing Elysiana second as well.
Not a bad pull. He can now clear the Hecklebot if he wants to, but instead gonna put some more damage on the Steambot. Tyler thinks he's healthy, which is, you know, I think that's fair. Oh wow, Ziliax off of this is insane. But there are 6 bombs by my count in his deck, possibly 7. So that could change real soon. But he is just gonna wait for the perfect turn to Elysiana. The outcome last game of all the bombs being clumped together is definitely not likely to happen.
Yeah.
Unity, precision, perfection.
Tyler can probably never rip the Elysiana until he sees his own Boom. So he has to kind of play that delicate balance of how many bombs he can afford to draw.
Okay, Tyler drawing a couple there. Still not in a bad spot at all though. He has a lot of stuff. I just wonder if he's got the safety net, because there's still more bombs in Tyler's deck than there are BloodTrails. And also Tyler's got a lot of stuff, but it's fairly expensive stuff. So it means that he is limited to 1 to 2 maximum things to do a turn.
It's also very scary that Tyler, from what I can see, doesn't have a good way of clearing the 3-4 Elec. He can trade in the Militia Commander and Dinomatic, but that makes the rest of the turn super awkward because I'm thinking he would like to play either Cairn or magnetize this Beryllium Nullifier. Yeah.
Wow, that is a rather large minion.
Yeah. And the 11 health, pretty good to live at least one proc from Devastator. So Tyler's gonna risk the Alex staying on board because he has seen BloodTrail play rather a lot of his bomb generation minions, but I'm pretty sure there's still a Sephorium in here. Whoa, there it is. That's real scary.
Well, that's
for
going to
Tyler.
help. Might mean Tyler's forced into Elysiana next turn.
Elysiana before you have Boom, though. Is that just conceding the game? I'm not
Maybe.
sure.
Maybe. I don't know. It's difficult, though, isn't it? What he could do is Alec and... Wait, Elysiana doesn't shuffle cards in deck, does it? I can't remember the exact wording. It doesn't put...
It replaces your deck
Right,
with
so
the cards
Alec
you discover.
won't do it.
I'm pretty sure, yeah.
That's a
Never
shame,
seen
would
that.
be funny. I was like, aha, 20 card deck, let's go.
He just played Benedictus.
Yeah.
Tyler on 6 bombs by my count.
I
Yeah.
think 7, but it's, you know, whatever, we'll see.
Still no Boom.
This does open up a lot of damage, though. He can take down the Steam bot and just go.
Okay, but there's only 1 bomb in BloodTrail's deck, so I don't know if that strategy is sustainable for Tyler here, but he can drop a taunt alongside the Militia Commander. There's also a way to isolate the 5/5 so that Dinomatic can kill it off, but that would involve trading the 11/11, I think, which you don't generally want to do.
No. It's tricky. I do think Tyler is... The problem is, the one turn in which Tyler has to play Dr. Boom for 7 mana, BloodTrail can potentially just play as Elysiana, and then I feel BloodTrail gets too far ahead. And because of that, I feel like Tyler might want to actually just play as aggressive as possible.
And that's why he did end up trading the... him being scared of the bombs is why he did end up trading the 11/11. And I don't blame him for it, although what you said makes sense. Just intuitively, trading that does not seem good. This brawl could
Head in
be
hand,
game
Tyler
deciding.
doesn't even want to look, but I can see him peeking out
Yeah.
that little...
That's me
little
watching a
things.
horror movie.
Yeah. And now he's just... My worry is that... Oh, it's 11 damage. I don't know. It hurts me to not put 11 damage to the face. And I don't know if Tyler realistically had a plan to go toe-to-toe late game with BloodTrail.
And here's another problem. He really wants to armor up just so he can get out of range of 2 bombs. But that means he can't remove the 1/1 and play a 6-drop in that case. It would have to be the Militia Commander.
Yeah.
And that's why he's shield slamming a 1/1. Also because the armor total is probably not getting that much higher
Right.
after this turn. I think BloodTrail has no more bombs in deck.
I'm so confused now. I have him on 1.
What? Okay.
We are terrible at counting bombs, or one of us is terrible at counting bombs. It's probably me, but that's fine.
No, I think I messed up a lot yesterday. Maybe today's my day though.
So Geppetto, he's gonna also have the small benefit, I say small benefit of just thinning out the deck specifically, so it's not like he's ever gonna draw bombs with this pull. And now he has some more flexibility with these 1 cost. And Dynamatic is a 1 cost, and Devastator is a 1 cost. It's fine.
Those are
Next
insane.
turn, he can use them to leverage the board, as well as potentially playing Elysiana.
Defend the gates.
Double trading into this doesn't feel good, but at least Tyler can maintain the turn at 11 health and still drop his Stego.
Yeah, it's so nuts though, because I just don't know how he even wins.
He
Like,
needs Boom exactly next draw, I think, into Elysiana for not so discovers.
Another Omega Devastator.
But yeah, BloodTrail's just got so much value. Another Zilliax! Another Nullifier!
Snipes this, uses the Dinomatic to kill off the Bane, and again, I don't know.
I don't see it either.
Well, there's another bomb.
There's Boom, finally. Tyler gonna snap play that, I think.
Needs a good hero power. I mean, okay. Kills one of the minions.
I think He is 4 off lethal.
You can do
Oh, sorry,
10.
3 off lethal. That thing got buffed. I remember now.
Put some 3.
Insane.
I count 4 bombs in deck, which means Tyler is very likely to just be dead. And I see 1. We'll never know about the others unless we go back and watch the VODs. I'm sure people will tell me how wrong I was, but either way, BloodTrail takes the series 2-1 over Tyler. And it did come down to whoever dropped both. I think all 3 games there was a late boom and a relatively early boom in terms of the hero card. But I did enjoy the early game there when it was just
It was great.
Blastmaster into Blastmaster into Blastmaster.
I mean,
Let's
I
go.
think Tyler very well could have won that game if the shield slam off the top was not available for BloodTrail there to deal with the first Elec from
Right.
Tyler. Otherwise, that curve would have gotten way out of control. The Elec would have stuck for many more turns because BloodTrail only could have wrenched Caliber the next minion.
Right, yeah, it would have been a little bit more difficult, and maybe that opens up some more things for later on in the game. But alas, it was not meant to be, and BloodTrail now moves up to a 3-5 score in Grandmasters, so starting to claw back some of those wins and fight for that top 3 spot. But I am sure you guys are a little bit weary after that relatively long match, at least in the current meta, so we'll give you just a minute to get ready for the next one, which is going to be Dawn versus Glory, which is Druid versus Rogue, so no warriors at least for the next one. So we'll see you then.